I guarantee it, dude. People are still trying to use like syndicated data from like point of sales. And like, that is just not the way, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Film the World podcast. I am happy to have you back. We've had a great day here in Nashville, Tennessee. I hope you have where you are as well. You know, I got to get out there on the old bike. That was awesome. I literally got 14 miles in. It was perfect. I think it was like 90 degrees. Loved it. Every second of it. And you know what? I encourage you to go out there in the elements. See what's all out there, see what's happening. The downtown Franklin area of the old Tennessee is like shut down. It's been shut down all summer long. I'm thinking they put in a new road, all this awesome stuff, right? Not the case. We have not put in a road just yet, but that's okay. I'm here for it. I am here for it. Just shut it down. Just, that's what it's all about. We're all about productivity here. Which brings me to my next topic. Previously, we brought up syntax, all right? And the interesting use of syntax with Webster's third. And I think this is becoming more and more relevant as we transition into a new 2025. You know what I mean? We've had some happenings, folks. If you haven't noticed, there are some interesting things happening. I encourage you to be a conscious observer, okay? Syntax is the set of rules and principles that govern structure of sentences in a language. It determines how words are arranged to create meaningful phrases and sentences. In short, syntax is about the order and relationship of words to convey clear meaning. It was first altered by Webster's third in a definition type format. Okay? That was in 1961. Before that, it had been used in, previously altered the use of syntax in works like Mark Twain, who founded Bohemian Grove, by the way. Just gonna throw that tidbit out there for you. But there's a number of things that we're not gonna talk about, right? Just observe. Like I said, at this stage, thinking becomes low tier, okay? Let me tell you why. I have come to this determination of something called the law of percentage perspective. The law of percentage perspective poses that significant shifts in social, cultural, or ideological viewpoints are primarily driven by a small catalyst group, typically around 10% of the population. Within this catalyst group, approximately 2% act as active leaders or innovators who initiate change, while an additional 8% provide sympathetic support that help amplify and sustain the shift. The remaining majority adapts over time, influenced by the momentum generated by this focused minority. This gets even crazier when you put this into ontology. And I think the faster we adapt ontology into sciences, understanding of history, use in health, in any number of things, until we start using the known bias aspects, we continue to try to mask. We're masking certain things, okay? We're masquerading certain things, okay? I came across an awesome book, okay? Look at this monster, this beautiful book from a guy, beautiful man named Chase Hughes, okay? Not only in this book, and I'm not sure he is fully on board with the ontology, okay? But he has nailed it in his manual. So if he isn't aware of the ontology, he puts it into practice anyway. So there's a lot of these things that I've, used and built boots on. Dude, we've got this thing cracking like Harry Potter's freaking book of secrets or something, It's crazy. But the thing you need to know from the law of percentage perspective is that people are creating, like I said. What I mean by this is we have known bias attributes floating. Just grab them, take them on as your own identity, okay? I argue that most of these things are marketing. Another way to look at it is programming, okay? I want you to know in the human condition, in the ontology, people will like to program you. Now, this isn't necessarily bad, and they don't necessarily know they're doing it. When they are aware of it, there are karmatic attributes that may arise, right? I just want to help our fellow in this sense. I'm an American, seemingly better than an Americant. In this sense, I extend you an invitation to never be an Americant, okay? I will always offer perspective. All of everybody, the sum of everything, is a reflection of everything. So whatever you're putting out there is what you're going to get back. So if you take on some of these ideas as a marketing strategy, right? Programming, take that on as an identity, replicate that out. So you have your law of percentage perspective. Now, this has nothing to do with the economy of syntax. The economy of syntax, viewed through the lens of value over time, describes how language structures evolve to prioritize efficiency by balancing the richness of contextual meaning with brevity. Over time, as language adapts, the perceived value of specific syntactic forms shift, favoring simpler constructions to convey essential context quick while lessening reliance on elaborate or redundant phrasing. This evolution reflects a trade-off where maintaining important contextual information remains crucial, but is optimized for ease of use and rapid understanding, changing communicative environments. Okay? Now, this is a concept that nobody is talking about. That nobody, I believe nobody really truly formally put this down. Okay? Money appreciates in value, okay? Context should remain the same, right? Because if you had gold in, no gold taken out, same gold, same context, right? Fantastic. It's not, because we have an erosion of context, which means that we can all be saying the same thing, which means we could all be geotagging for the same thing, right? But we have, separation in, generation norms, locality norms. I mean, then you get this weird thing that I wasn't even, that I hadn't researched too much of, okay? Now, this goes back to the law of 10%, which is a super interesting number. And it seems like a pretty big number for persuasion, but I don't really think it is, because it's based on the amount of people in the balance on the stage. What I look at this thing and see it play out is stage is anyone participating in the said conversation. They're participating in it, right? If there's only a couple of people, you can easily be the 10%, and you change all perspectives. You really only need 10% of the balance of any locality on any one stage to change the perspective, the law of percentage perspective of the entire stage. Super interesting, right? Because you really only need 2% when you start looking at the 10%. And I'm not going to even get into the book on this because we're not promoting it. These are known bias attributes that are out here in the wild, folks. And I wouldn't be doing my service from a marketing analyst by not giving you options. It's not necessarily anybody's fault for running with any one narrative, okay? Because we can only pick up on narratives, right? We're not out here creating narratives. I mean, some people are. They're like, yo, GPT, yo, what's up? Hit me with the story. Blog me, yo. And the HTML format, please. Done. And presto. At the end of the day, I need you to know that a lot of these things are, sold to you. And we take them with not necessarily like anyone, I don't know, we didn't sign anything, but I guess we allocated a percentage of time. Not even going to get into time. Time is kind of an illusion, right? Because no one person experiences any one percentage of time any consistent manner, right? Everybody experiences it differently, right? Just like when somebody decides they want to have a bad day, right? When we live in the perpetual now, it's a really interesting question. Did you prop there? Day? What does that mean? Dude, this is 2025. I'm pretty sure business is 24/7. I know Walmart specifically in Franklin shuts down at like 11. More programming, dude. It's just because they don't have the freight to sustain the food, to sustain operations for 24/7 operations. We went to this in 2020 because we were under the illusion that, we had excess. When nobody really had excess, we changed store hours. We changed weights. I don't think I'm under contract. I don't think I am. Maybe I am. I don't know. We'll scratch that. We'll put this in the edited version, uncensored version. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I just need you to know that a lot of these stories are programmed. Okay, none of these things are original. If you go down, the balance of the news stories in the day, that's why nothing's interesting. They're trying to create, doomer or whatever, right? Or at least it seemed when I was watching the news. I don't even watch the news anymore. I watch keywords. Keywords seem to have more value, even though the syntax is completely eroded of context and the balance of the economy of syntax, which is fine because it makes things interesting. I think that people get really upset and twisted about a lot of these things, and it's not a bad thing to necessarily be upset. I think it's a good thing, actually. Get those emotions out, right? Because that's energy in motion. So in sales, we need a story, right? To get the buyer in motion. In the news, they prop some targeted phrase like disclosure, hashtag, promote this everywhere, every outlet. Interesting. There was no disclosure. Oh my goodness. Outrage. Well, what's different today than it was yesterday? Nothing necessarily changed, you know? He didn't necessarily change anything. I mean, this was less than a farmer's handshake, bro. And like, I think it's just like interesting. It makes things more interesting. I'm never really getting upset about any one topic, right? All of these things are seemingly novelty, even though novelty just really can't exist because the universe is perfect, right? So if the universe is perfect, novelty can't exist, CERN spends like 98% of their budget trying to block out consciousness, pretending it's not a thing, still getting obscene donations, even though 90 some percent of the budget is to block out the human condition, which really goes to show we are pretending not to know what we are. And it's just strange. It's strange. It's like we learned what we are to forget what we are. It's amazing. So anyway, on this little voyage of our discussion today, I need to present the concept again of the economy of syntax and its value in the marketplace, which we call the commons, the courtyard, anything you want, the mall, anywhere. But there's this erosion of dialogue that I need you to know that we're all participating in at like a ubiquitous scale. That like, we're all running these like automated programs. Bro, like I'm nervous to ride my Kawasaki H2 on the highway. Not only because, it's a little quick, folks, but like people are texting. Nobody's like driving anymore. The concept of presence just seems to be out the window. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but somebody's got to hear this, okay? Because, you know, it's it's okay again to get upset about some of these things, but I think it's just the understanding and being okay with it. And just like, oh, well, that's interesting. How many hours did you occupy your time on that, whatever. But like, not even because I don't think it's, anybody's job to go around saving people. I'm just saying, yo, if you happen to watch this and you're a marketing analyst and you're running around town talking about some of these things, I'm helping you out. Yo, there's another way. It doesn't matter. It's okay. Like, oh, it's fine. It is absolutely fine. I don't know why, and I'm not pointing out any one person. Dude, I'm talking to myself here. Literally. I do this like constantly. I'm always looking at the data. I'm like, can't put it down. I'm like, why in the heck can't this make sense? And then, like, all of a sudden, my AI tools are getting so advanced. Like, I mean, it is scary, folks. Like, people are talking about like stories and narratives. You have no idea. You have no idea some of the juggernauts that we're playing with here, folks. It is fun. I love it. It's beautiful. It's great. It's creative. It's sharing ideas. Dude, we're going to bake in the ontology to this thing. It's going to be amazing. Okay? Get excited about it. But like, you got to got to adapt to this stuff. Like, I mean, there's so many interesting ways to build brands. I want to help people we got to take advantage of some of this stuff now. There's some interesting things. And the more people that are involved, I can start sharing some ideas back and forth. I am just not going to drop the beats, bro. You got to be working in this together. Somebody else needs to be working, sharing ideas. Dude, I'm all about workflow. Okay. I've onboarded no less than like 280 some, AI programs. Dude, they're all fun. Honestly, all fun. Syndicated data, Geo-targeting, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. So like point of sales data and stuff. Like I remember people even still, I'm sure, I guarantee it, dude. People are still trying to use like syndicated data from like point of sales. And like that is just not the way, bro. There is like straight up geo-targeting in an unbelievable way. Make video on them. I will do that. I'm doing that. But anyway, we've got a lot of cool things coming down the pipeline. I just want you to know that we're researching some of this stuff. This is more of a PSA to all my homies and homettes out there. I don't want anybody getting hoodwinked by some of these stories. They're not you. They're energy in motion, folks, okay? And they're bought and paid for, folks. They don't need to be your identity, okay? There's just a lot of stuff going on. And I'm not talking to any one specific thing because they're all the same. They're literally all the same. And like with some of these like data stories, dude, you can make data say anything. Dude, I've even seen dip sales numbers where it's like, yo, we can still make this look green, bro. And then it's like, yo, you just invent math. And I'm not even going to target any one category, but there's one that's notorious for being on television talking about these things, okay? And like, they're bought and paid for. I don't even know why they're on TV. I don't know who's vetting any of this stuff. Like kids watch TV. Dude, we need to save the human condition, folks. There's no, and I'm just like, if you happen to come across this, cool. If you want to share this, cool. You don't have to, okay? I just want somebody to know that these are not your ideas, folks. Okay. And if, syntax, you know, was valued at some kind of dollar set, we wouldn't know where it is. Okay. But it would be eroded. And I'm not talking about real money because I don't think fear is helpful at all. There's going to be new perspective in money. There already is a new perspective in money, you know? And I'm just going to say straight up, crypto is interesting, right? But it's going to allow us to think about other things. And there's never going to be any like quantum cracking of crypto, I just don't think it's going to be monetarily, or fiscally responsible. I'm sure if they go after like one big account, but is it even worth it? Dude, the expense. I know people were worried about data security and whatnot, but I don't think that's the thing. Okay? Fear is not the thing. Okay? We'll get into what fear is eventually, but I want to kind of, touch on some of these things a little bit more methodically. Okay? For right now, we're just showing that the budget of syntax is run dry. Okay? And the world is beautiful out here, folks. And AI is still beautiful out here, folks. It's not all doom and gloom. Okay? Things aren't all bad. There's no disclosure. Dude, you didn't have it yesterday anyway. Dude, you live in the perpetual now. What are we talking about here, folks? Oh, let's get out here and start sharing some ideas. Let's not start, hoping that some aliens are going to donate some more Quavo stimulus packages of AI tech for us, It's just not the way. We need a better way. We need a human way. A human condition, man. Let's get this. Film the World Podcast. Almighty Portal LLC. AlmightyPortal.com. Have a good night. Peace.